Between 2005 and 2006, at least 19 children and young women vanished from Nithari, Noida. Their bodies were never found, until one winter morning exposed a house of horrors. This is the story of the Nithari Killings. But more than just murder, this is a case about how the system failed the people it was meant to protect. It is a story of ignored pleas, bureaucratic arrogance, police negligence, and finally, a nightmarish discovery that would forever change how India saw crime and class. By late 2005, residents of Nithari village had noticed a pattern. Children, mostly girls aged between 4 and 14, were disappearing at regular intervals. In most cases, the last time they were seen, they were playing near or walking past one particular house, D5, Sector 31. Families approached the police repeatedly, but complaints were often dismissed without further. Many were told, "Your daughter must have run away with a boy." Others were told to wait, sometimes for months. One disappearance stood out. Payal Sarkar, a 20-year-old aspiring domestic worker. Her father, Nandalal Sarkar, knew something was wrong. Payal's phone records showed the last calls were made to a landline inside House D5. Finally, he filed a missing person complaint on May 7, 2006. Nothing happened, so he began his own investigation, returning again and again to D5. Months later, he would be proven right. After constant media pressure and a protest by Nanda Lal and other families, the Noida police finally searched the open sewer drain behind D5. What they found turned the case into a national nightmare. Plastic bags filled with human remains, skulls, femurs, decomposed torsos, children's clothes. The stench of death was overwhelming. 16 skeletons were discovered in just a few hours. More would follow. Surinder Kohli, the domestic help at D5, was arrested first. During custodial interrogation, he broke down. In chilling detail, Kohli described how he lured children with sweets or work, strangled them, sexually assaulted them, before or after death, dismembered the bodies using kitchen tools, boiled some parts, ate others, and dumped the rest in the drain. He later claimed the confessions were made under duress, but forensic evidence began to match. The next challenge was identifying the victims. The police retrieved over 70 bags of human remains. Many were skeletonized, some just fragments. DNA samples were extracted from the bones and matched with parents of the missing children using mitochondrial DNA profiling. Victims like Arti, Dipali, and Rimpa were positively identified. Yet the question remained, how did no one inside the house know what was going on? Maninder Singh Panda was arrested alongside Kohli, but his role remained ambiguous. Panda insisted he was unaware of the crimes, often traveling and trusting Kohli to manage the house. But evidence painted a murky picture. Some victims were last seen while Panda was home, and sex workers alleged they were harassed at D5. Panda had no alarm over foul smells or missing items. In court, his phone records, call logs, and statements clashed. Some believed he was complicit. Others believed he was negligent, but not guilty. In the aftermath, a storm of criticism was unleashed upon Noida police. FIRs were not filed until months after first complaints. Parents were accused of exaggeration. The drain where remains were found had been previously ignored, despite families pointing it out. At least 6 senior police officers were suspended for dereliction of duty. An internal UP Home Department report called it a case of, complete policing failure. Given the national outrage, the case was handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation, or CBI, in early 2007. CBI conducted a second excavation and retrieved more remains, raising the suspected number of victims to at least 19. The agency filed 16 charge sheets across multiple courts. They re-interrogated Kohli using scientific techniques including polygraph tests and brain mapping, though results were inconclusive. Despite that, Coley's repeated voluntary confessions and consistent recollection of victim details strengthened the case against him. From 2007 onward, Coley faced separate trials for each murder case. In every case with confirmed DNA, he was convicted and sentenced to death. The Supreme Court upheld multiple death sentences but, stayed execution in 2014 for further psychiatric evaluation and a mercy plea. Panda, meanwhile, was acquitted in several cases, mostly due to lack of direct evidence. But in October 2023, a fresh verdict by the POCSO court in Ghaziabad convicted both Coley and Panda for the murder and rape of a minor under the POCSO Act, sentencing them to death again. Experts who evaluated Coley described traits of psychopathic behavior, extreme sexual deviance, and emotional detachment. He showed no remorse, had detached memory recall, and sometimes described killings with, an eerie calm. Some theorized that Coley may have had mental disorders, while others believed he was fully aware and manipulative. No insanity defense was accepted by the courts. Let's remember their names: Payal, Rimpa, Deepali, Aarti, and at least 15 others whose identities may never be known. They were daughters and sons, sisters and brothers. They were poor, but they mattered. Their stories remind us that when justice fails the weakest, it's not just a crime, it's a betrayal. Nithari has changed, but the pain remains like a scar carved into the earth. The house still stands. The drain has been sealed, but the question still haunts us. Could this have been prevented? The answer is yes. If only someone had listened. If only someone had acted. If only the poor mattered sooner. Let this story serve not just as a record of horror, but as a warning of what happens when silence becomes policy. Share this video. Keep these voices alive. Subscribe, comment, and spread awareness. Because justice begins with memory.